And here's something else. If you close the door and one door seems to not be closing all the way, let's say it's not closing all the way at the top, but at the bottom you think it's closing, but at the top it's not. It might not be a warped door. It might be that this is too close. And so you would loosen that one screw right there, right? Back in there, okay? And you could pull this one out a little bit further and then retighten it. And then you could loosen up the same screw up there and push the top of the door here in a little bit. And then you see how that would keep this door, instead of being rocked this way, it's now gonna lessen like this. Now you can close the door further at the bottom, which then is going to make the top closer in, and then that's going to line up. You may have to adjust that on the other door too or something, or if you have a warped door, that's how you can fix it. You can mimic one unwarped door to kind of line up with a warped door to a certain extent. At least you can make it better. I've done that before. Okay, so there's another adjustment you can do. So there's all kinds of adjustments. So you got one up and down, this in and out, this the hinge part over this way or over that way, and you can do all kinds of stuff. Maybe you have to move this over, and you have to move this one or the top one over, and that's all you have to do. So you got all kinds of adjustments. You can move this over like that, this one over, or the whole door over, or just the top part and just the bottom part over here. So all kinds of stuff that you can do to line these things up, okay? So now I come over here and I've got the big gap there. This is in between the two cabinets. I'm not as concerned about that as much as something like this over here. And see, when I close that, I've got the door, I put brand new door silencers on here, and I can still hear the wood, kind of. And so this one, I didn't change this one on my other video for the door silencers, but you see the gap here? That's how much gap I want at the bottom. See, I don't have anything, do I? That's because the hinge is pushed in too far right there. Okay? So, I'll get you set up here. And I've got to go up there. And that's one of the first things I want to do before I adjust the door is I've got to I'll keep that out. I think you can see this. I'm going to loosen that back, and then I'm going to pull the cabinet door out a little bit with my hand, retighten that up. I'm going to look at my gap here on the side. I didn't pull it far enough. I did it a little bit. Now I've got to do it just a little bit more. I can hold my hand on there and know that once I gauge just a hair of a gap, you're right there. I can tighten this back up. I can see the gap here that I made. And I think I've got it just about right. In fact, maybe I should make it just a smidge more out there. It's okay. You just do it a little bit, check it out, do it some more. That's all. It takes a few minutes. Okay, that gap's the same now. I can show you what that looks like. No tricks. You know, I like to do things and have you see what I've done. See the gap there now? The same gap up there, right? Okay, so now when I open and close this door, you shouldn't hear that wood sound anymore, should you? That's what you want. These are little doors, so to a certain extent, you're going to hear something, you know. But that's pretty good. Okay. So now I'm getting ready to adjust these doors. I'm going to work from this outside first. See that gap? I want it the same as before. I look on the outside. It's pretty well flush. That's pretty well flush. See? And I look right here. In fact, this door is hanging down just a hair lower than that. And see, I can adjust that by pushing this over at the bottom a little bit. That'll raise this up, and then I'll get that over just a hair without, see, first I want to do that. See, I want it up about like that. I don't want it right there. Okay? So I can do that, right? I'm gonna set that up, and I'm just gonna take this outside screw, tighten it up just a hair. That pulls this cabinet door over, and you know, I only did a 2/4 turns. See there? That raised this up, didn't it? See? And I've got the gap. It looks really, really close to being the same, except it's too far apart. Okay, so I'm going to adjust that outside cabinet door. Which is set right there. And so I'm going to turn this one one full, 1/2 turn, let's say. Look at that. Make a determination. What's happening there? I can do this just a hair more. See, not much at all. Okay? And it looks like it's just about right. I could pull this over just at the top, just barely. I'm going to turn that less than a 1/16. And I'm going to have you check that out. Check out my handiwork on that. Mind you, I'm doing this for your benefit for cabinets that look like this. See the gap now? Look, all the way up there, it's nice. The two doors are lined up evenly. Lots of times, if the doors are off a 1/16 to an 1/8, sometimes after you look at the door, you might be able to figure, hey, I think I can fix that before worrying about raising one up and down. Because here's the other thing you want to look at. If you got a row of doors, you don't want to raise this one up if it's in line with this other one already. And you raise it up higher, now all of a sudden you got, you know, where your two fixed doors are, where there's a hinge here and a hinge here, let's say. You don't want to get this up too high, okay? So then you've got that to take into consideration. Line this up, look at this over here, see if you can't adjust these doors better. And if anything, maybe, just maybe, you only have to mess with one of those doors. In fact, see right now, it looks like this door is just barely higher than that door. And we're on the hinges. There's not much that we can do with that unless I loosen up the screws of the hinge and slide it down a little bit. But I mean, that's within margin. That's actually pretty good. Okay, so now I've got one last one. I guess I might as well show you that one. And what I have here is the bigger gap at the bottom, the smaller gap at the top. That's about the gap that I want up at the top. Okay, so, and this door is lower than that one. So I know the first thing I can do is take that and move it over to the left. It's the first thing I'm going to do. And I look at that gap, and it looks pretty even along there. So if I just move it just a little bit, that's all I have to do for this one. Okay. Got our bike helmets in here. Okay, so I'm just gonna tighten. These are pretty slick too. They're from Lumos, Lumos, and the actual bike helmet has a design in the back, so at night this will light up, these will flash, does all kinds of stuff. Of course, you have to have it plugged in and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so I'm going to adjust that just a hair more towards me. I'm going to tighten that just a smidge. Those two look closer now down here. I just keep getting you back and forth up here. I see the gap is the same up there. I've raised this door, didn't I? Remember it was lower? I raised it just a hair higher because now I'm going to take this door, move it over that way just a smidge. that's gonna make this gap a little bit smaller. It's gonna raise this edge of the door up because I'm pushing the door over, so it's gonna take the whole thing and lift it up. You follow me? It's gonna slightly, actually it's not gonna lift that up very much. It's just gonna move this part of the door like that. Okay, so I'm gonna move that over. Bear with me, we're almost done. We're almost done because this is all the cabinets in the garage. Okay, so I'm gonna take this screw and screw it in a little bit. I can look at that. This still looks pretty good. Well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos.